Welcome back from the break. You're still watching This Week, and I'm Somna Sambo. Now, still on President Tinubu's appointments, there are similar agitations coming from ethnic minority groups in Nigeria calling on him to respect the principles of federal character as enshrined in the 1999 Constitution. The minority groups do not want what has become a regular pattern of appointments tailored in favor of certain sections of the country, especially the ethnic or religious groupings, especially when that president comes from the specific ethnic group.
I want to draw the attention of Mr. President, seeing him as one person that is rooted democratically, and I have seen that Nigerians believe so much on him, to have a clear departure from what has happened in the past, to please, as he convey and then nominate people who will be minister of this and that please, with all of this, and having gone through as a commission, recommend that the people of FCT, one of them, an indigenous of them, should be appointed as one of the ministers.
Well, to help us dissect the concerns raised, we have joining us in the studio a Federal Commissioner of the Public Complaints Commission in charge of the FCT, Honorable Ezekiel Dahlatu. Thank you so much for joining us. And also here with us is a former member of the Presidential Transition Council, specifically in the Media Subcommittee, Aliyu Audu. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, and let's start with you, Honorable Ezekiel Dahlatu, on your submission there where you are asking the Nigerian government led by President Bola Tinubu to consider people of minority groups. Specifically, you were talking about people from the Federal Capital Territory and, of course, for others who are ethnic minorities in terms of religion and all of that, not to be left behind, especially considering the controversies that brought President Bola Tinubu and his vice president and the vice president into power. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, I think, thank you for having me. Specifically, I will talk about the FCT, where I have the constitutional obligation to talk about as Federal Commissioner, Public Complaints Commission in charge of the FCT. And just like you just heard from the soundbite in my press conference,
which was during the week.
During the week, and I was speaking on the strength of what I have as complaint and what I have as agitation from the good people of the FCT with regards to the appointment of ministers. In the years past, it has been an issue where they feel so slight, so marginalized, so left out, so excluded in the scheme of things. And then there are history, there are precedents, there are records to show from our investigation as a commission to others whether their agitation are valid or not. And in our findings, actually, the Constitution have stated clearly that FCT will be treated as a state. And then recently, the Supreme Court interpretation of the status of FCT have said FCT is a state.
Although
and aside that, yeah, anyway, whatever it is,
of the presidential election,
yeah, people may want to misconstrue or whatever, but that is the position of the Supreme Court. And you dare not speak against what they say. You know, that's the position of it. Then, to go back to the nitty-gritty of the issue, I have also found out through the investigation to ask the people of FCT what have been the steps they have taken. And one, you have a judgment of Court of Appeal for 15th of January 2018, directing Mr. President to appoint one of the FCT indigene as minister. This was precedent to when in great memory of late Barrister Panya Baba and other on behalf of the indigene that approached the court to seek this interpretation. And it was a unanimous judgment, valid judgment by Court of Appeal. And we thought that would be a leeway for the presidency to do the needful. But up until now, and until President Buhari left office, even after they approached the National Assembly to even do a petition on public interest to say there is a court judgment that have not been obeyed. And the Constitution have made it very clear that all organs of government must implement the judgment of the court. And that is the letters and spirit of the Constitution for fairness, equity, and to have an egalitarian society. Well, but till now, when it was not done, That's why we recommend as a commission to say, hence we have a judgment of a court. And on a moral standing, these people, the people of FCT, are supposed to have a minister to represent them at Federal Executive Council meeting.
All right, and I bring you in. We've heard these calls, Aliyu Audu, about marginalized groups. People are reminding the APC of federal character principles and all of that. People should not be discriminated, should not be marginalized based on religion and all of that. This is a tough call for Bola Ahmed Tinubu. We've seen his first set of appointees, 8 out of 20 special advisors. What's been your impression? There are 4 from the southwest, 3 from the north, 2 from the northeast specifically, and 1 from the northwest, and then we have 1 from the southeast. What do you make of all of this combined?
All right. Good evening, Nigerians. I think the call for inclusivity, the call for fairness, the call for equity, you know, are always a right call. I mean, they are calls that are essential to the unity and prosperity that Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu has promised to lead Nigeria into. I mean, like I've said, you know, since he was sworn in, that we need to be at ease. It is okay that people would come out to, I mean, he has even made a formal request for people who need something to lobby him. He said it in Rivers State. You know, lobbying is part of progressive politicking.
Yeah, and we've seen several people going to the Asoro presidential villa.
Good.
I don't know if the FCT people too have been going, because people are going to the villa almost every day to see President Tinubu.
I am sure for a good cause like inclusion of FCT people whom the court, you know, Supreme Court, I mean, if for nothing, the way the FCT vote was contested in the last election is enough reminder, you know, I mean, if for nothing, what to take from that is a reminder that it should be treated like a state that it is. So if the Constitution requires that a minister is taken from every state, then the FCT deserves it. And a man like Bola Ahmed Tinubu, my principal, my leader, the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, it's someone I know stands for equity. While he was governor of Lagos State, he was not under any obligation to involve people from outside the state in his government. But he did. He did. He had people from Ogun State, Kwara State, Kogi State,
including the
Anambra
southeast,
State, southeast, and south, and even the north. He had that. So now that he's the head of the federation, he's the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, it won't be any problem for him to include this thing. Talking about the 8 appointees he has made, you know, clearly he has maintained his 8 priority areas that are of importance, which he has communicated with the NEC, and he has sought their support. He has spoken with National Assembly members, and he has sought their support. And the most important part is when you listen to, you know, governors who have met him, governors from other parties who have had few meetings with him, members of reps, senators from other parties who have never had the opportunity of sitting with him. When they come out after meeting with him, they come out like, you know, we never knew this man is like this. I mean, he told them clearly that they all collectively asked for this responsibility of leading over 200 million people. He said all of them, they are less than 400, about 400. But the responsibility of over 200 people lies with them. And that politics aside, politics is gone, contest is over, it's governance. They have to unite, they have to collaborate, they have to work together to take Nigeria, to work and realize the fortunes trapped in Nigeria and put smile on the face of the people.
All right, the appointment has also generated issues of, generated controversies with people like Ribadu's appointment, you know, generating lots of things. I mean, what's the inner thinking among your leaders? Why Ribadu being SA and not an SA and all of that? And then, of course, you have some very powerful people on that team too, like Audu and all of that. Okay. But on Ribadu, why is it so controversial like that?
I mean, I do not think it's controversial, but we are human beings first, then we are Nigerians second. Whatever you do, people will talk. We already know that. Do you understand? I mean, if you look at controversy that followed our candidate, my presidential candidate, the sitting president prior to election, so no controversy, no noise making is new.
You don't think that
is new to me.
Now, the military guys are hitting back through the back door?
I mean, he has appointed him as the SA. If we look at the act that set up the NSA, up until the I think the terrorism, the Anti-Terrorism Act of 2013 or 2011 or thereabout. If you look, there is no part of that law that says that the head of the NSA must be a former military background. There is none. As a matter of fact, the president needs an advisor on national security. But what we've done in the past years is we've had U.S. Secretary of Security. I mean, that's...
Yeah, the NSA, Jake Sullivan, right now, is actually someone who studied political science and law.
Now, let's go back to our own. We've had military, former head of state, some even ran it for 3 times. You know, we've had them, former this, former that. We still have security challenges after how many years? It means that formula isn't working. So our security is not purely military. We have economic issues, we have integration issue, we have environmental issues, we have, there are other areas that sum up unity. And
all right.
What he's trying to form, what the president has done with his 8 advisors is all of the objectives he has designed for himself to deliver. He has picked 8 disciples. They are not holding any specific position. That they are advisors. It's within his right to pick them.
Well, if you know Bola Tinubu very well, you know that in Lagos he worked more with advisors than commissioners. I would also hope it's not the same thing that will happen, but I will ask you that question later. I want you to react to it.
Right.
I want to bring you back.
Yes.
We've seen several groups going to Aso Rock Villa in Abuja here seeking the president's ears on certain things. I don't know if there is any particular way that the marginalized people, especially of the FCT that you're talking about, are beginning to reach out, because even people like Asari Dokubo, he had to take his own outcry too to President Tinubu. And the good thing about it is that President Tinubu has been meeting with people. I mean, that actually will count for good, because I mean, other presidents, sometimes it's so difficult getting access to them. I've seen someone who has open access. So how would you lobby or take advantage of such an open access?
I think first, just like my brother here have said, we must commend the president for his tenacity, and then his nature of politicking, which depicts that he's a Democrat. I'm not speaking on any breath like a party man or whatever, that he is a punker. I'm a public servant. I'm a public officer, a federal commissioner, but when, as an ombudsman, which is the commissioner public, we are ombudsmen. As an ombudsman, we say what is right and also say what is wrong, for the primary purpose of correcting those ills, so we can have a very just society. For Tinubu, President Tinubu, for what he has done so far, if you follow the trend in social media, so people are even calling people who have court case against him to withdraw, because Nigerians are really beginning to fall in love with his kind of leadership. So that we must give it to him. That's why, for the people of FCT, they have this confidence, even when they approach us with these issues. When you sit with them to discuss with our people in the FCT, you will see that these people have reposed so much confidence in the president.
Even when majority of them didn't vote for him?
You know,
because,
yeah,
I mean, you know, the APC and FCT are like two sides of a coin.
Yes, two sides. And
so do you think that the president should be a statesman and leave out those political issues and focus more on the issue?
He has already shown that. And any time he's talking to people, he talks about unity government. He talks about bringing Nigerians together, galvanize brains to bring the best out of this country that we have. What is happening now, the hunger, the insecurity in the rural communities, the killings everywhere, is not in any party line. If you go to filling station, there is no queue for APC, for Labour, for PDP. Everybody queue in.
Some people thought that way.
You know, so nobody, and then the president is already tilting towards that line. And his body language and what he's doing. For the people of FCT, they're already lobbying. You know, there are different categories of people here in different strata. The political class are meeting with the people they can. The traditional class, I'm told, which we've seen recently, are also meeting people. And then the youth group, different youth group, you see them, the likes of Lawrence, the likes of Farida, different youth groups are meeting with their peers. And then this should continue. And then they are already doing. And it's easier for the people of FCT because this is their domain. Everybody is in their own land. And so it's easier to reach out. But for moral justice, for social justice, for equity, just like he said, the people of the FCT deserved the appointment of a minister. So they will be part of the Federal Executive Council for two reasons. One, for equity, justice, and fairness. Two, for the purpose of inclusivity, you know, because the Constitution of Nigeria has made it very clear that nobody should be deprived of any gain, either discriminated on the basis of his religion, or his religion, or ethnicity, or location, or geographical, or place of birth. And so, like in the FCT, thank God for the Supreme Court interpretation. Recently, the children were writing WAEC, and then they say, write the name of your governor, and then your state, and all of that. The child from FCT was left to write nothing. And
well,
the constitution,
isn't the FCT minister?
He's not a governor, and he's not a governor. And then you see that the idea of bringing federal capital city to Abuja was not in any way to make the people that are located in that place to lose their right of citizenship, or lose their right of stateless, of being having a state. Most of them were belonging to either Plateau, Kwara, Niger, Kogi, and all of that. It was not in the wisdom of the founding father of moving the federal capital back to Abuja to make them stateless or to make them inferior to other Nigerians. Okay. That is one injustice.
Very interesting point you've brought here. And I know that President Bola Tinubu is someone who is also coming from the old federal capital, and he would have known all the struggles because Lagos also contended with this before it was eventually given a state. And then, of course, it continued. But the question I earlier dropped for you, which I'm resurrecting now, is that President Bola Tinubu is used to working more with special advisors than, commissioners, based on how he governed Lagos. We've seen some of his strongmen being put in the positions of special advisors at the moment, although some of us actually think that maybe some of them will make it into the ministerial positions. But for now, these are strong people. What sort of message is this sending through this appointment of 8 special advisors, though 12 are still outstanding?
All right. So I think when you look at the 8 appointed advisors so far, something, is striking, about them. They are exceptional individuals in their own right. They have proven themselves. They have shown that they have vision in their own field. They have shown they are respected individuals, either in their field of play or in the political arena where they operate.
And long-time loyalists too. I mean, people like Dele are like over the years.
What makes you long-time loyalists is buying into an ideology that a man symbolizes. Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu is progressivity, is unity, is tenacity, his vision, his prosperity. And that's why he always wins. I mean, after contesting for senator, he could have vied. He had the largest number of votes in 92 for a senator. He could have pushed for Senate president. But he supported others because he was a part of a team that was building to have a president from the Southwest where he was.
Yeah, he actually wanted to contest for that Senate presidency in 1992, in case you don't know. But he had to step down. Abiola had to ask him to step down because of his own presidential ambition. And
that makes him even better, that he dreams, but when he knows that his dream should come second to a collective dream, he knows how to sacrifice that. And he has always done that. 2015, there was nothing wrong with him being a vice president. Maybe he would have saved us a whole lot in the last 8 years.
You think so? Well, the likes of Saraki didn't want that to happen because they felt that Muslim thing should not be tested.
But let's leave that. We have tested it now, and we are in government. And
you think they would have won in 2015 if they had done Muslim?
You see, I'll tell you something that Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu does not engage in a battle he does not know he will win, because he's the most prepared politician, most prepared manager of resources that Nigeria has ever seen.
And he boasts that he has never won, he has never lost any election.
It's not that he boasts. The record shows it. He has never lost any election. And he does not repeat classes. After 28 years as governor, when his mates were going to retire in the Senate, he stepped out. He gave room for others to grow. He grew a team.
Okay, so how will these special advisors actually help? Because also people are saying that young people should play a role. There's a woman there who actually is the advisor on energy. She looks very young. And people are saying that, look, it looks like almost everyone's
And
there.
the special advisor, Zacchaeus, is about 45 years old.
Yeah, and
I mean,
that's how,
every demography is represented on the 8th. But one thing it is that this is Tinubu transferring, President Tinubu transferring his ideology, the color of his government to the next layer, 8 advisors. When the 12 come on board and the ministers come on board, so they are defining the body language of the government. They are defining the color and the shape of the government so that they are building a culture that anybody who comes in will imbibe and be a part of it. We saw what happened. I told you during transition, as a party man, when we brought in the last government, we saw a lot of things that happened. You know, that isn't going to happen under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and that's exactly what he's doing. He's building a culture that any future member of a culture will imbibe and roll with, and it will sink down to the Nigerians.
I want to also hear your own views about these appointments that have been made. I know you are not a politician, you're a federal commissioner, but I mean, what's been your view about the president's appointments as we head into the main one, which is the formation of the Federal Executive Council?
I think from the feelers and then what we're seeing people talking about this present appointment, I think it's a pass mark, and I've not actually heard people condemning it in entirety. Just like you said, the class of people in that appointment is well spread, and he seems to have captured every interest. You know, you have technocrats in it. You also have politicians captured, and so this basically shows that he is really a man who is bringing something to the table differently. And also the class of the age bracket of the youths is well represented and all of that. So an individual who feel it should not just be, you know, a national cake on the table, just come and take whether you have capacity to deliver or not. An individual who is coming with that kind of posture, sincerely speaking, means well for the country, and that's why I'm not surprised he's getting and gaining the support that people are, the outpour there. You're having people saying, the way he's already coming in with the energy and then the progressiveness to carry everybody. So people are feeling at home with him. And somebody say it's too early to start applauding. And I say no. It's good for somebody to start in the right footing. They are starting in the wrong footing, thinking you will correct the abnormal later on.
And it becomes difficult.
So, you know, it's
so difficult to sack, like President Buhari.
You know,
once he appoints you, it's 4 years, or
and then,
if you're lucky, 8 years, no sack.
And then one other takeaway, just like I said, I'll speak as an ombudsman, is the fact that we are seeing a departure from what used to happen in the past. We are seeing a clear departure, which I pray should continue. Because just like I cited the case of FCT, where you have a clear-cut judgment directing you to do a thing, and you sit on it. No appeal, no implementation.
Yeah, I mean, those were the weaknesses of the former Attorney General of the Federation, and then President Muhammadu Buhari, who is now former. How do we ensure that, you know, this kind of legal traps, we don't have a government that seems not to be obeying court orders, or it's not following the path of a constitutional government? How do we do that? And
I keep saying it, just like uptake from what you just said. In any society where you see serious crisis, and people think ballistic missiles, nuclear weapon, powerful gun, all kind of will win the... No. What normally bring down the tension in any war, or even have total absence of war at all, is where there is justice. Simple. With what is happening, if you have a competent agency of government, just like a judiciary, coming over to say A, B, C be done, and it's enshrined in the Constitution, directing every organ of government to obey and implement court judgment, then there should be no this scenario of selective justice. You select the court judgment to obey and leaving out the one you don't want to obey. That is never an egalitarian society. And as an ombudsman, we condemn such act in its entirety. Impunity will never build any nation, but it will rather destroy it and brew anarchy and total confusion and crisis. This is what we will never prefer.
And I also want you to talk about that. I mean, we had issues that bedeviled the then Buhari government on refusing to obey court orders, several of them. How do we set an agenda for President Bola Tinubu to ensure that right from his appointments to every other thing he'll be doing in government, that it's based on justice and all of that like he's promoting?
Okay, I think we should understand that every constituency, every demography, every institution, every agency, every arm of government must earn the respect they seek. You must earn it. It's not a la carte, it's not given. Just like we as a nation, we want the world to respect us. We must earn it. You don't beg people to respect you, you earn it. You know, when we started cleaning up in APC some 3 years back, APC rebirth, it was because we realized that if we are going to be taken seriously as a party, we need to be responsible. We need to respect our own laws. We need to abide by our own laws. Like he said, justice fixes a whole lot. Fairness, equity fixes a whole lot.
And it reduces the political problems for the government.
So what I think the judiciary should do, which I think the last few days, I think President Bola Tinubu has spoken in that direction, is judicial cleanup. He did it in Lagos. The judiciary must respect itself. And I trust that he can make sure that the judiciary independence is respected. But you have frivolous court orders and injunction and court judgments flying all over the town, and there is no coordination from NJC.
Yeah, I mean, the
there is no penalty, there is no penalty.
And they are recommending about, I think, 8 judges to be, interrogated on some of the accusations.
So they have to clean
them.
up. You have a court sitting somewhere and sentencing IG of police to prison, sentencing chief of army staff to prison, sentencing chairman Bawa to prison. On what ground? You respect yourself. If you start saying...
But if they also violated the laws, why shouldn't they be? I mean, we're running a constitutional government.
I agree, but there are steps to getting those people in. Like, none of those things, none of those their pronouncement happened, and they could not do anything about it. Does that not ridicule you the more? But if you respect yourself, you don't give frivolous judgment, you don't give frivolous injunction, you don't give frivolous. Look at the panel going on. I am happy that I am seeing people, petitioners being sanctioned, being fined. I was here at the time when I even wanted our party to be sanctioned for not obeying the law. The
court orders. Well,
things.
Even people who have been arrested now, heads of former government agencies, they now understand why it's important to obey the rule of law, because you can be a victim tomorrow.
Exactly.
So as we try to round off this conversation, Aliyu, let me come back to you very quickly and briefly too. How do you ensure that President Bola Tinubu doesn't lose the goodwill he's enjoying now when his ministerial list comes out politically?
And that is why this whole body language of the new team, to build a successful team, the leader takes responsibility. But you see, whatever is in you that is worthy of all of this, accolades, all of this happiness, all of this respect, you must be able to transfer it to your team. Then the team must be able to understand what has gotten them that accolade and transfer it to the next layers. Rebuilding our country has started from the top and is going to come down. So whoever is going to be nominated on that cabinet will understand that you understand the task ahead. You understand the urgency required. You understand the promises Bola Tinubu has made. Even if you didn't believe in it before, right now you should.
You have no choice. Okay, very quickly as we try to round off the conversation, how do you ensure that the agitations of people are listened to by the government? Is there any specific way that your commission, for example, can forward this recommendation that were brought to you, the complaints, the petitions filed at the Public Complaints Commission? Is there any way you're forwarding some of those requests to the government, maybe through the SGF or any other office, so that the president can know?
We've actually done that, and we keep doing it. That's how we work. As soon as we receive those complaints, we also verify them to see how valid they are. And once we see sense in it, and there is a need to nip it on the bud, I tell you for free that some of these crises we're having now, bedeviling everywhere in the world and even in Nigeria, starts as a result of little agitation and complaints. And so what we try to do in helping government is, as we receive them, being a gatekeeper, because we are down to the grassroots with the people. We have area offices everywhere in the FCT. So people run to us because our services are pro bono. We don't earn, you don't need to pay anything to have public.
And the good thing about your commission is that it's everywhere.
It's everywhere.
36 states
yes,
of the
yes,
Federation.
36. We have the 36 commissioners, including FCT, and then all of that. So what we do, as soon as we receive some of these complaints, there are some that needs immediate action. And then most of them could be referral. Like we have issue that has to do with security. We are not security office people, so we refer them quickly to the police, to whatever, to nip it up. But for this one, we forward them to the through SGF and to the presidency, sometimes through the National Assembly, because we are brainchild of the National Assembly.
Yeah, coincidentally, you are one of the agencies under the National Assembly.
So,
and I hope the National Assembly can be helping out, with maybe laws, of the parliament that could help pursue some of these things, because some of the things are legal, and so the executive cannot just do something when the
just like this ministerial stuff. The National Assemblies were approached. We wrote to them, and they had a committee that looked into it, and then came out with a resolution. The entire National Assembly on this matter came out with a resolution in 2019.
What was the resolution? Very
and
quickly.
That Mr. President should obey the court judgment and appoint an indigenous of FCT to be one of the ministers.
All right. We must thank you so much.
Thank you.
Ezekiel Dahlatu is the Federal Commissioner in charge of the FCT in the Federal Public Complaints Commission. We must thank you so much for joining us to take a look at these issues. And of course, Aliyu Audu is a member of the All Progressives Congress and a former member of the Presidential Transition Council, which was just dissolved not quite long. And I hope you've been enjoying your break, and we hope to maybe see you in government pretty soon.
Hopefully, definitely.
Well, we must thank you so much for joining us. Like you have said, Ezekiel, the issues of justice is very, very important. And that's why in the Nigerian Constitution, there's a section that talks about social justice, that the government must do everything to ensure that justice is not only being heard about, but is seen to be done, so that the government can command loyalty and authority in all parts of the country. And that's what we are asking the Nigerian government to do, obey the laws of the country. And we can only hope that President Bola Tinubu will form an egalitarian society that Nigerians will all be proud to call themselves citizens of this nation. And it's on this note that we want to thank you for watching this week. I'm Somna Sambo. See you next week.